There are some specific pieces that you must include in order to actually sell your program. You have these, you got something going. But I'm still making sure that it sounds like me. And anytime it doesn't, anytime I feel like I'm just saying the latest buzzwords, I change it. I'm like, you know what? That wouldn't be how I would say that. I'm Amber McDuffie. I am a marketing consultant, a Facebook ads expert, and I help course creators, consultants, and coaches to sell their programs using Facebook ads. You do not need to be a genius marketer in order to sell your course using Facebook ads. Sometimes people, when their marketing isn't quite working how they want it to, if they're not getting the results that they want to get fast enough, they start to maybe think that they're doing something wrong. And often they're not doing anything wrong. It may be that there's something missing, that they could add to their strategy, but it's really, really hard to do it wrong, meaning that whatever you're doing might be harmful to your business. It's just when you do have a comprehensive strategy that includes all of the parts that help to move people through that decision-making process, then now you've got a sales plan. Now you've got a sales process. So I remember having this one client who I coached them. It's been almost 2 years at this point, but I had signed her on as a one-on-one client. And, after we did the whole deal and she signed up for the program, she told me, she said, actually, I have a business partner that I would like to join me. She mentioned that she was the one in charge of the marketing, but she still wanted him on the calls so that he could get the information as well and kind of have an understanding of what she was doing. I said, cool, that's fine, bring him on. And so there was a challenge there because obviously she and I worked well together. We discovered that in the sales call, but I did not know him, so I wasn't even sure how it was gonna go. And so he joined us by our third session, and he was actually it felt like he was upset with me because I would not tell him that what he was doing was wrong. Like he wanted me to say, well, what you're doing is wrong and what I'm gonna show you is more right, And because I couldn't and wouldn't do that, he kind of started to assume that, well, what am I working with you for? This doesn't, if what you're doing isn't more right. So there's always it's more than one way. You don't have to do your marketing exactly the same way that I do. You don't have to use the same exact words that I use. You have to show up and do your marketing in your way, in the way that feels most comfortable. But there are some specific pieces that you must include in order to actually sell your program. You have these, you got something going. You can put them in place however you want to. You can speak them aloud in a video. You can write them, in the text of your ad. You can write them on the page that they go to for your ad. You can write them in the follow-up email, wherever your strength lies. And that is what I do. I help you to use your strength. Like, where do you shine? What are you really good at? What do you enjoy doing? Now let's take a sales process that we know that works and insert it with your strength. So one of the first things that you have to do is you definitely have to identify the problem that they are experiencing, and you need to say it. You need to acknowledge it, because that is what allows people to self-select, for them to say, yes, that's me. Yes, I'm suffering from that particular problem. This is a challenge for me and I'm looking for a solution to it. Okay, so that's the first part. The next part is that you obviously then have to present a solution. And ideally you want to present a fairly unique solution. It's not to say that you have to be the only person, that's offering it. There are going to be ways that are different, the way you offer it or the way that you show up and do things that are different from others, but your specific solution does not have to be absolutely unique to you. But what I do recommend always is that you have a core message, that you are presenting to them that solution in a core message to indicate why you're even showing them that solution. Is it the fastest way? Is it the cheapest way? Is it the most effective way? What is it about that solution that you're even deciding to show it to them? And so that problem and solution kind of go hand in hand. And when you can give it to them in such a way that allows them to have a really clear sense of what the solution actually is, how it works, how long it takes, how they can access it, then you really are kind of moving them along on that sales process. The next thing that you want is to have an offer. You need to actually make an offer and tell them how they can access the solution. So be very clear then on how they can access the offer as well, what it all comes with, when they can access it, all of the different pieces that go along with making the decision to get the offer. They have to have the full, complete picture. If you're missing something from that, that can actually slow them down because now they have a question in their mind. And until that question is answered, they may not be getting that solution from you. The fourth one is going to be your benefits and transformation. You need to make sure that they understand what the benefits of that offer are. Now, if you leave that out, again, it kind of leaves a question in their mind, like, why would I get that? It doesn't allow them to fully paint that picture of why this particular solution might be better than some other solution. Because again, there's oftentimes more than one way to get a result. So what you're showing them is this specific way to get the results, and what are the benefits of using that specific way. And then even what are the benefits of them taking you up on your offer during that particular time period. What does that transformation look like when they do experience those benefits and the outcomes that they're going to get, right? And then finally, this is the final one, is going to be some type of authority. You need to indicate that you have the authority to speak on this matter. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. A really strong way is to have social proof, and another strong way is to have testimonials, right? So social proof might just be indicating that other people have tried it, have bought it maybe recently, maybe they've given a couple of testimonials about it. So even the social proof can be testimonials, but a different type of testimonial can be even your personal story, where you're showing either some kind of, graphics or charts or proof, or just sharing your own personal numbers or your own personal story, but paint the picture. So don't just say, I did this myself and it was great. Like, how do you really demonstrate for them what that outcome looked like for you, kind of where you started and what the outcome was. So just as an example for that, for me, if I'm teaching people about Facebook ads, I'll say, I specifically used this Facebook ad method to get 14,000 email subscribers, right? So I'm able to use something very concrete that I can share with them instead of just saying, I've used this method too, So paint the picture, be very clear, use your words to actually show, not just tell. And so with those different pieces, you actually have kind of a complete, sales picture. There are some other components such as scarcity that you can include in there, or risk reversal. Those two things, specifically the scarcity, you don't have to have scarcity, but it is optimal for you to have that in there, as well as risk reversal. But risk reversal doesn't always have to be, you can get your money back if you don't like it or if this doesn't work out. Does that help? Absolutely. Is there some other way that you can guarantee that they're going to get results? Or, what is it that you've built in to kind of help them feel a lot more comfortable, that they don't feel like there's so much risk involved with them making this purchase? But because you don't have to have like a money back guarantee, or you don't have to guarantee a specific result, allow your testimonials and all of the work that you've done leading up to them getting to know you to really kind of speak for you. So those other 5 pieces, though, are pretty much necessary in order for people to have enough information to really make a buying decision. So with your Facebook ads, when you include that information at some step in the process, all of that does not have to be included in your initial Facebook ad copy. So typically when I'm using Facebook ads to sell a course, is I'm going to start out with a lead, right? I'm going to do a conversion ad into a lead. So I'm giving them a lead magnet that allows them to opt into my email address so that I can continue to actually get to know them. You will be more likely to sell a higher ticket course or program if you have built that relationship up front. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to stay in front of them with my emails and my retarget ads. And this is the part where people feel like if they don't have like the magic formula of exactly what to say in the email and exactly what to say, or if I could just write emails like so-and-so, or if I just had a sales page that was written like so-and-so, I would probably sell more of my course. But that's really not what it's about. You need to sound like you. Otherwise, it's not ever going to be sustainable, because let's say you get a welcome sequence, right? That was templated and you put that through. Once they go through that email sequence, now what? Are you going to never email them again? Of course not. You have to continue to stay in touch with them and continue to email them. So you have to get comfortable with writing like you and sounding like you. And so the difference between, what I do and help people with is I say, okay, what are you really comfortable with? Are you more comfortable, with writing? Like I love writing. Writing is my thing. I can tell you the moment when I discovered that I loved writing. I was 14 years old. Like, I have a very specific connection to writing. So I am more likely to sell in writing, right? But if some people are like, I go live all the time and they love doing video, then I'll say, okay, well, let's do more sales videos. You don't have to have a full sales page. You can do a video sales letter. Or just what are some different ways? What are ways that we can maximize what you feel that you're good at and use those components that must be included and incorporate that into what you're doing best? Because you don't have to follow along specifically what everyone else is doing. So just as an example, I can't stand writing sales pages. Okay, I just can't stand it. It takes so much time, and all of the different sections and the pieces, and trying to get the alignment correct, and trying to, okay, what am I going to put in this section? Especially if it's like a pre-set sales page where now you're just going in and filling in the blanks. I just feel like I'm overwhelmed with having to fill in all of those sections and seeing it in advance. But what I do love is I love writing. I love, I was almost even a journalist at one point in my life. So I love writing articles. I love writing blog posts. I love writing emails, all of those things. And so I just decided I'm not going to just be held back with a sales page. I'm going to actually write my sales content in an email, and that is going to be my sales page, right? And so what I did is exactly that. I took all of the components that definitely need to be in a sales page, right? And I followed along and I wrote it in an email, the same way that I would write, say, a blog post, or the same way I would just write an email to my audience, right? I made it into an email. And then because it performed so well, I took that email and I created, it looks like a blog post, but it really is kind of like a landing page because I didn't want to have all of the extra links on it. But I took that exact email and I made it into a sales page. So I was able to use a method of, speaking to people and reaching out to people that I love and created a sales page out of it, and it converted. So the point is that you don't have to do exactly what everyone else is doing. It's never going to be about that. If you understand the foundation of sales and marketing, you can put it anywhere, however you want to. Okay, you could be on a stage speaking to a crowd of people, and if you know what is included in helping people to make a decision, then you can sell just by talking to a crowd live. You can sell by talking to people one-on-one. And the beautiful part about it is it takes out the part where you're trying to not just copy other people, but the whole persuasive marketing, and trying to convince people. I don't want to convince anybody. I have no desire to convince anybody. I want to give you all the information that you need to make a good decision. And then I'm going to let you decide. And you might decide yes, and you might decide no. And that just feels good to me. Okay. Because anything beyond that, it doesn't even feel good to me to try to persuade somebody else. And my health is important to me. So if it's going to make me feel bad, I'm not doing it. The other part too is I do feel like your reputation is on the line at some point. I can't even explain to you how I feel about some programs that I purchased for thousands of dollars, and it's all in the past, right? And I learned lots from the programs. So I'm not complaining about spending the money or doing the program. But when I look back at the words and the marketing that they used to get me to buy it, I was kind of pissed off about it because I was like, you know what? You could have just told me the truth about it. You could have just told me what was what and let me decide. Because then otherwise it just looks like you're just trying to sell it to anyone. And so I start to think about some of the people who purchased those programs who really probably weren't ready for them or weren't the best fit for it, but spent the money anyway. And now that entrepreneur has all of that money, which is great for them. Congratulations, good job. But at what cost? Because I really don't care for those people too much anymore, and I basically stopped following them. Not that they care, they don't need to care whether I follow them or not, but my main point is that you don't need to use any set template, because not only did they use that, but then they tried to teach me to use that same thing, and it never felt right. I was like, I don't even talk like that. That doesn't even sound like me. That doesn't even sound like me. I sound like you. And so it was splitting to where sometimes if I wrote an ad or I wrote a sales page or I wrote an email and it didn't sound like me, but then when I went over here and wrote an email or a blog post that I really love doing, now that sounded like me, but then there was a disconnect. It didn't sound the same. And while I do agree that there are certain templates that you can use, like I do not veer from my Facebook ad template. I don't. I use it the same way every single time, even if I'm changing the words because it's a different lead magnet. I know it works. So I'm basically following a structure, but I'm still making sure that it sounds like me. And anytime it doesn't, anytime I feel like I'm just saying the latest buzzwords, I change it. I'm like, you know what? That wouldn't be how I would say that. So why am I putting that in my copy? I need this to be even one step closer to them getting to know me, right? So in your copy, it needs to be you. So don't be afraid of using your own words and sounding like you. You don't have to sound exactly like me or anyone else who's teaching you marketing. There are just certain components that you have to fulfill, that you have to satisfy the component of addressing the problem with a solution that is very clear. You have to do that, but do it in a way. How would you say that? How would you approach that? And you'll find that you'll have way more success than what you think. So if you feel like you're out there grasping for straws and trying to figure out, well, maybe what I'm doing is wrong, I highly doubt that what you're doing is wrong. I highly doubt that. There just might be some missing components to it, right? Or even a missing component to the strategy. So maybe you started out with this particular ad, with your conversion ad, but then what came next? And then how did you continue to stay in front of them? What marketing pieces did you have in place? What do your numbers look like? Maybe you just didn't get enough traffic to that page. So if you know all of the different pieces that you need to monitor, you'll realize you're way more on track than you think. Way more on track than you think. With that, I hope you realize that anyone truly can sell with Facebook ads, but you do need the foundational principles of marketing and sales in order to be successful with ads. I would love to continue to support you with your sales and marketing through Facebook ads so that you can get your course sold and make some real money. That is truly my mission. I want to teach people how to make money, not just teach you marketing and teach you how to do sales. Use marketing and sales and Facebook ads to make money in your business.